Good afternoon, Buckeye Gordon. I'm going to talk about a time when I was in South Korea. I was stationed at Camp Hawkeye. It's about 20, 25 miles south of the DMZ, which is the dividing line between North and South Korea. Um, my time there was really interesting. You know, when you join the military, you get to see a lot of things that you don't see here. You get to meet a lot of interesting people. Um, I can remember one time we were called up to replace some of the wiring, the telephone lines that went into the building. If I remember correctly, there were approximately 15, 20 phones, something like that, lines that went into the building from various um, generals, things like that, that during the peace talks maybe wanted to talk to somebody. But we went into the building where they had the peace talks. And it's amazing. When you walk in, you know, they got the little concrete uh, sidewalk like on the outside. When you go into the building, then it's like a 4-inch white strip that goes on the floor and across the table, back to the floor, and then outside wall. I When we were there putting it in the new wiring, we happened to be there when um, they had visitors, which isn't uncommon. A lot of people do take visits to the DMZ. Um, it's not a family uh, trip, but when I was there and that happened, it must have been maybe like congressmen or something, because the men were all nicely dressed, suits, some had vests, but that's what I assumed. Anyhow, when you go into the building, um, you can tell which side is what, even if they blindfolded you and then they unblindfolded you and take it off. Um, the microphones coming down. The ones on the North Korea side were pretty chintzy looking, and the one on the American side looked like really good microphones. Not really sure why they would have the microphones in the building. The building wasn't very big. Building was probably as big as my living room. Um, Anyhow, when we laid the wire, we were towards the end of it, and we were wiring coming into the building. So me and two other people were uh, attaching the wires to the telephones, and there were several phones, field phones. They weren't regular telephones. I don't know what they use now, because keep in mind when I was there, it was 1978, so it looks pretty much the same. I actually Googled it, the DMZ today, and it looks exactly the same as it did back in 1978. Anyhow, we were. I was paying attention to the guy. Uh, he was a master sergeant that was given a tour. Now, what happens before that is, and I've seen this happen several times, when they usually bring me in by a bus if there's a tour. I guess they pick them up wherever they are, and they come to the DMZ. The military police comes out and blocks the traffic. Now, when I was there, there wasn't a whole lot of traffic. It was mostly military traffic. I'm not. I'm pretty sure it's still the same today, but they would block the roads um, by the building where they had their peace talks to let the bus comes by. Uh, the bus parks, and it's interesting. They don't park on the side where the buildings are. They park opposite of that. Um, and you can see all these North Koreans standing there, and they only use the tall ones. Um, when I touched down, when I was on my way to Korea, uh, touched down in Japan, it was amazing because when we got out into the terminal, I could almost see the top of just about everybody's head. Um, but they only use tall people from South Korea because they want to try to intimidate you. But anyhow, getting back to what I want to talk about, I seen something that I've never really seen happen before. When you go in there, they tell you don't give them the finger, don't cuss them, or the best thing to do is just don't talk at all. Well, as the uh, master sergeant's giving the tour, he says this is where the United States was. He mentioned some of the people that were at the table, and this is where North Korea was. And the South Korea was on the side of America, and the Russians were on the side of North Korea. Um, Once you get into that building, then you were covered under political asylum. You can actually go over the line into North Korea. And we had to do that several times when we were doing the wiring. But um, I noticed this. I was just kind of listening, and this master sergeant giving the tour. He's talking, walking around the table, talking. Well, these North Koreans had their ears up to the window. Now, I don't know if they know English, but they look like they're trying to hear something. And what I thought was kind of cool was the master sergeant walked up and slammed the window down, and everybody started laughing. And the North Korean guy, he kind of walked away a little bit. Um, but it was a wonderful experience. Um, I remember when I first got there, and you could see all these huts built it. The hutch is a very small house. It was probably, you know, 2 rooms max with a little kitchen attached. A lot of the people did their cooking outside, but they're all built on these hillsides and things like that. When I was walking off base sometimes to the village, it was a small village called Namyang, and that was right off the base. Namyang was a village. You see a lot of blonde hair, blue eyed kids that were Americans. Some were probably still there, some had already left. And I thought that was kind of sad. Um, I would say, and I was told this by the medical people on base, 90% of the women are registered prostitutes. In other words, registered, what they had to do was they had a card, and you go monthly to be checked for VD. And if you have VD, they took the card away. And it was interesting because if you go to a village down there and you're sitting there and you're drinking a beer, let's say, or something, and this woman walks up, wants to know if you want to have a good time, you ask for the card. If she shows you the card, you're good. if she, stam and hammer and try to get you to get off that subject, then tell her to go on. But anyhow, like I said, it was a wonderful experience, something I will never forget. And, you know, I highly recommend that young people, men and women, to join the military and to have that experience, something that will stay with them for the rest of their lives. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to me. If you would please like, share, and subscribe. And I shall see you in the next one. Have a wonderful evening.